Amy Friedman.
Our opponents have told you that payment has been tried and is unsafe. Been there, done that. We tell you we know the way it's being done now is wrong. Let's regulate it and do it right. We have no intention of stopping efforts to increase the number of deceased donor organs. This does not in any way affect those efforts. We can't afford independently as transplant centers or independent societies of transplant surgeons, for example, to follow these live donors. We don't have those funds. The government could provide the funds to long-term provide the safety net and understand what's happening with live donors. What we propose is the only solution to closing the dangerous black market. They've implied the dignity of the donor would be assaulted. We've told you there's no dignity for people dying. We propose an approach that preserves the rights of donors and compensates them for the risks they do assume.
1 month.
We'll allow them to join us, the club of people who benefit from their life-saving gift. Isn't that treating them in a most dignified manner? This is supposedly an academic debate, and David even called it an exercise. But the 99,000 people currently waiting for organs who are there for so long that they become inactive because they're too sick to get the transplant then, need real solutions. And they need you and us to be willing to think out of the box. There are lots of clever people available in this country to devise a system that can do it right. Let's do so.
Thank you. On the against side, David Rothman, your 2 minutes.
Well, some quick principles. First, beware of doctors who play regulators and economists. What you've heard from the physicians is fantasy. I'm not sure lawyers are much better at it, having heard Lloyd, but this is, you're in a never-never land, truly in a never-never land. We're going to not have immigrants do it. Why not have immigrants do it? Helter-skelter. Sally came out with a formulation which those of us in New York get a little scared about. The only way to stamp out illicit behavior is to legalize it. I can think of commercial sex work, but I don't want to go there. Second, don't think that you're doing the poor a favor. You want to do the poor a favor, start thinking in terms of economic development. Watch what China did. Watch what India is in the process of doing. Massive infusions of capital, growth, real change. This kind of pittance of giving the poor a little money here so that they can, sell their body part. That's absurd. You want to do something for the poor, do it in a real way. Spur economic development. Finally, you're not doing the middle class any favor here either. I made that point with college. There's got to be a better way to pay for an expensive wedding. Don't go down that route.
Speaking for final words, Lloyd Cone.
So much pernicious, pretentious foolishness to refute, so little time. Are you shocked and surprised that anyone would argue that paying for organs will not increase the supply? I was at first, and then it became clear. The prospect of an effective organ market places our opponents behind the 8 ball. A market that would recover vital organs now being fed to worms would be the salvation of thousands of patients. As against the saving of innocent lives, poetic statements about the dignity of human life being degraded by commercialism would be revealed as empty moral pieties. Our opponents would therefore prefer to believe that a market would not work and demand that we must prove that it will. The obvious way to demonstrate the efficacy of a market is to permit one. But of course, the law forbids that. So what other evidence or theory can I offer? First, consider the thriving organ market from living donors in places like India. A market in the U.S. where the interest of donors would be safeguarded by American law would, of course, be much more successful. And there's no reason to think that somehow the American market would be like the Indian market. In the same way, there's no reason to think, if any of you have been to India, that potable water from the tap is as common in India as it is in the United States.
1 minute.
And And what does the success of living donor market say about a market in cadaver organs? The sacrifice is incomparably greater for the living donor than for the deceased, so the supply of deceased donors will be far more responsive to a positive price. Second, look to the very reason that our opponents have such faith in the efficacy of altruism, and at the same time restrict its required application to organs rather than extend it to surgical services, nursing, and hospital care. They believe that altruism should work for transplant organs because they are of no value to the dead and of enormous value to the ill. Whatever this vast disparity should say about the power of altruism, it speaks volumes in the world of markets. Everywhere we look, markets move goods from low-valued uses to high-valued ones. Third, I've got 17 more reasons, but you'll have to talk to me privately.
There you go. Thank you all. Time to pull out your little magic clicker and decide. You make this. We talk. You decide, so to speak. Who's going to carry the day? Pick up your keypad. I'll tell you how to. Once again, you can see the motion is we should legalize the market for human organs. If you are for the motion, press 1. If you are against the motion, press 2. And if you're still undecided, press 3. So cast your votes. Now here is the result of the final polling. Before the debate, we had 44% for the resolution. After the debate, we have 60%.
Thank you.
Against the debate, before we had 27%, and it moved up just 4 points to 31% against. But it was, of course, the undecideds who decided this from 29% to 9%, a 20-point move. So we had 60% for, 31% against, 9% undecided. Thank you all for coming tonight. We'll see you on Friday on Science Friday. Congratulations.